it just is what it is. And like Tolly said, we've shown up for each other, and like we've taken like active steps to make sure our friendship is what it is. And like I can never apologize to anybody for that.
Welcome to Out of Office with Kim. I'm your host, Kimberly Cumberbatch. And today we are joined by not other than the Receipts podcast, silent drum roll. Introduce yourselves.
It's your girl, Tolly T.
And just call me Audrey.
Oh, can we do that one more time?
Okay.
I'm ready for it.
Okay,
go
cool.
again.
It's your girl, Tolly T.
And just call me Audrey.
I just wanted to do that.
Who was it that was saying the owl, but they were saying ow, like someone had heard
Like
them?
they were in pain?
Yeah.
I don't know, was it a guest?
It was a guest. And
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, baby.
No. We're going to start with a good old buzz question.
Nice.
To get us all ready, right? So, very simple. If you could swap places with any movie character, who would it be and why?
Oh, movie character.
You can also do TV show. And you can't go for the obvious. You can't say Insecure, sorry.
Okay. That I was leaning towards that. I definitely
You can
was.
if it's not Issa, then you can.
No, it would have been. Trying to think what I'm watching. Do you know what? I just watched Gossip Girl for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who would you be from Gossip Girl?
Not Blair.
Serena?
Yeah. No, actually, no, Blair. Blair's the brunette one, isn't she?
Do you know, Blair is actually...
I like Blair a lot.
Blair was made to be the villain, but she actually
was a great person.
And I want that to be on the record.
Yeah.
Audrey, who
I
would you
Blair.
be?
I would be, Tony the Childs from Girlfriends.
That was
nice.
easy.
Yeah.
That was easy for
But that
me
is quite an
because
obvious one, though.
She was fabulous. She's not that dissimilar to me, but I would be her because she's everything.
All right, well,
Yeah.
let's get into it.
Okay.
So, a question I like to ask all the guests. What was your first job and what did it teach you?
Oh, my first job was in Pizza Hut.
Nice.
I worked in Pizza Hut. I was a waitress there. I got it when I was like 14. I remember I went to the interview in my school uniform because I didn't have any other smart clothes. Just took my school blazer off and just had on my skirt and my school shirt. What did it teach me? Oh, God.
That didn't end that well, did it?
That didn't end well at all. That ended
So did you
badly.
take any positive... It could be negative lessons as well. A
Do
lesson
you know
is a
what?
lesson.
It really taught me how to get tips. I
Good.
used to get really good tips at Pizza Hut. I
Used
got
to work
great
hard.
tips. Yeah, especially when I was a family. It was a big family, a birthday party, a kid's birthday party. I was in that table.
What did you
I knew
have,
at
what did
least
you have to do
£10.
to really bleed the little coins
Oh my
out
God,
of them?
all the attention to the birthday kid. Loved that birthday kid with my
Pizza
whole
Hut
heart.
parties.
And I gave them free ice cream at the end of it, and to their parents always slip a little tenner in my hand at the end.
And I know you was happy with that because in those days, £10 could get you
That
far.
was a lot of money.
£10 now can't get you.
Can't do anything.
Can't even buy a
Can't do
bag of
diddly with that
crisps.
these days.
Audrey, first job, what'd you learn?
My first job was at my local bakery, and apart from the fact that I ended racism there,
She did.
I think you should actually just unpack that a little
so
bit.
basically I used to work with like a skinhead.
Okay.
And when I worked there, she refused to like talk to me. And in fact, I used to work weekends because I was also in school. I was around the same age, 14, 15. And so she used to work weekdays and I used to do weekends. But then they would always say like, oh, you know, we won't put you with oh shit, just said that. Sorry, we'll have to. We won't put you with ... because you know she's got problematic views, whatever. Anyway, one time we were forced to work together, and she just really took to me. And then after that, she
Loved black people.
loved black people.
Oh,
And
you were
because
the-
before she would not even serve
At all.
people of like black
That's
people of colour.
insane that she was
And
allowed
the
to
fact-
work.
Yeah, exactly. It was a small family business that I guess anything could run. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a big chain or anything. And she wouldn't work with people. She would not serve people. Like she literally wouldn't. Like she would go and do something in the back, and then she just really gravitated towards me. And then after that, she was healed, and all was well with the world.
So the lesson is defund racism.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you know what? I love that because
Basically,
that carries you on into adult.
Yeah, absolutely. That
Absolutely.
And it gave me the tenacity actually to work with different types of people. That was the lesson
Very
learned.
good. So tell me a little bit about your upbringings. How did you think that shaped where you are today? How you've navigated the careers field?
Do you know, I think we've had quite similar upbringing.
Yeah.
So like I am Nigerian. I was born in England, East London, Newham General Hospital, bop, and so was Audrey.
Yeah, bop.
Same hospice?
Was born in the
Yeah,
same
we didn't
hospital.
even know each other then.
We didn't even know each other, of course. Yeah. Born in the same
spirits,
hospital.
yeah.
And then I was taken to Nigeria when I was 1. Mm-hmm. I lived in Nigeria from like 1 till I was 7. And then moved back to England, lived in Forest Gate, East London, then moved to Dagenham.
Daggers.
Good old digger daggers. And what shaped my career was I never wanted to be poor again.
Okay.
There was really something about growing up really incredibly
Yeah.
working class that gives you some version of tenacity and kind of like, because I was just really audacious because I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, so I was always really, really audacious, and I really wanted to work in the media. That was like, I was that kid. Do you know when you get to, I don't know if they still do it, in year 10, you do a work experience?
Yes.
Did my year 10 work experience at Sugar magazine.
Fun.
Which
Okay.
was all the ranges, really, really cool. Everyone else was working at the local Debenhams. I was like, absolutely not.
I'm different.
I am different. I am going to get the train to Marble Arch and walk into the office. And so I did that, and that cemented that I wanted to like work in the media. I was obsessed with June Sarpong.
Oh my gosh.
So I used to watch her on
I loved
telly.
you.
Yeah, watch her on telly.
And
I'd be like,
she was our like representation growing up.
no, honestly. And like her lip gloss used to pop. I used to be like, who is this woman? Like, I love her. And I think seeing her made me think like, oh wait, I could do that. And then for a little bit I wanted to be an actress. Auditioned for Skins.
The original.
Yeah.
What happened
Unfortunately
there?
for them, I didn't want it.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. It would have been too much if you had done it. You
Come on,
would've-
all this. No, I was awful.
Okay. Do you know what? I like an honest man.
So bad. So bad. So because I was really lucky to early on know exactly what I wanted to do, I was like, cool, I want to work in journalism. Everything I did was in line to be a journalist.
So you knew from a young
I knew from I was like
age.
14 I went to be a journalist.
Wow.
And
And you didn't pivot like.
the whole time I was just like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. I did like PR for a little bit, but everything was giving me towards, I used to do like summer jobs at like hospital radios. I used to do summer jobs at like crappy little newspapers. I was just determined to be like, cool, that's what I'm going to do.
It's interesting because for a lot of people, they think they know what they want to do at 14.
Yeah.
And then they get to 28, let's
And then
say,
it's like,
hypothetical
yeah.
age, random age. And they're like,
Yeah.
no.
Is this what I want to
So
do?
I actually respect that you had a vision.
Yeah.
And you actually went for it. What about you? How was your upbringing? How did that shape where you are
my
today?
upbringing was pretty similar. Apart from I didn't move back to Nigeria.
Random bit.
Yeah, other than that, I was born in Newham General Hospital as well in East London. My mum also lived in Forest Gate as well before my dad came. Like, funnily enough, like little fun facts, my dad didn't even know about me. Like, my mum moved here and didn't know she was pregnant, and then
Wow.
I existed for about a year and a half
That's
before my
quite a
dad
long
found
time
out.
to exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then my dad found out that I existed and came straight over here and was like, "Woman, what the hell are you doing?
Why
How
would you
was
not
child?"
tell
Why
me?
did your mum keep it?
I don't know. There's still so many unanswered questions about my childhood, like that I need to get to the bottom of.
We'll loop back around to that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I had a pretty standard upbringing. Like when my dad came, then my parents eventually moved in together, and then I was raised by my mum and dad. I went to uni, went to Brunel, studied. I studied film and TV, and I had a very similar like experience. Like I knew I was academic in school, but because I worked hard, not because it came naturally to me.
And that's fine.
Yeah, so like, the standard subjects like the maths and the English, English I was probably better at because I was quite creative. I was really good at art and those sort of things. But I had to work really hard at the other things to like make sure that my grades were up to par. But then I remember getting to my options and media was a thing, and I was like, what does this even mean? And I remember studying it and thinking, oh my God, like this is it. Like this is lit. Like this is actually a subject that I felt so passionate about, and I killed it. And I was like, I absolutely need to be in this space. Like absolutely. And then I wanted to do loads of things, but I also wanted to be a journalist. I went to uni, studied film and TV. Uni for me was a good time. Like it was more of like
Party.
a social.
Okay.
I learned more about life as opposed to like academics. I got a lot of life lessons from uni. It was a great experience. And then I was doing some editorial assistant stuff for a really long time in like celebrity gossip magazines, because those were my absolute bags, like the OKs and the new magazines.
Gosh, I miss.
And
do those things still exist?
Heat
I think they
magazines
still
and
do,
Closer.
though.
Are they like
I think
digital
some of
now?
them still do. A lot of them
Yeah.
are online, and it was my absolute dream to want to like write for one of those magazines. So I was working at New Magazine for a really long time, and I got an interview at OK, and I was convinced I was going to get this job. It was for a junior writer role. I was like, who knows more about celebrity gossip than me? No one. I had my cut-ins from other like work experience opportunities, and I never got the job. And I've never been so gobsmacked in all my life. I was like, what do you mean? Because I also had gotten my editor at the time to write me a really good reference letter.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I thought I had a leg up. I don't know, maybe that was my first proper experience at like racism in the workplace. I've got no idea, but I didn't get the job. And then I ended up going into like working at a PR company as a receptionist. And I don't know, the kind of person I am, I'm just going to make the most of whatever it is I'm
100%.
doing. So I was on reception. I killed that job. Like, I absolutely made it my own, and I was really like involved, and it was luxury PR. So we worked with really big clients in fashion. And yeah, and then after that, my boss was like, do you want to come be my PA? And I'd never been a PA before, but I had a really good relationship with him, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then after I gained experience, I left, and then I was like a PA and EA in like a lot of media companies for a long time. So I was doing that, and I was like, do you know what? I actually like this role. It's quite fitting to my personality. And then I was doing a lot of like my own thing on the side. So I used to co-host a radio show. Shout out West Side FM every Sunday. Me and Mr. Voltaire every Sunday, 10 till 2. So I did that for a bit, and then I was still doing some writing stuff on the side. So I felt really like fulfilled. I was earning my money in media, and I was also doing stuff that fulfilled me.
You both have kind of similar.
Very similar.
Similar.
Very, very similar.
Which leads
journeys.
me to my next question. How did the receipts form? Obviously, I'm a true listener, so I know the origin story. I know what really went on, And I can't wait for you to share the story, because I just think it's amazing. I think people who watch you now wouldn't believe how you met. So do tell us how the receipts was birthed.
So I like I said, I'm really into media. So when I'm into something, I'm into all aspects of it. What is it? So I got really obsessed with podcasts. Shout out Serial was my first podcast I ever listened to. Adnan was my guy. I was convinced he was innocent, like really. And I was so surprised by how much I got into it. Like I was really, really into it. And I was like, this is sick. So I started like listening to more podcasts and things like that. And I just like tweeted one day, and I was like, yo, I've got a podcast name. I just need the girls. And like loads of girls like replied to it, and like me and Audrey like didn't know each other. We didn't even follow each other.
Never even
like
come across
never come across each other because we even went to the same uni. But never come across each other. Never heard of each other. Never seen each other on socials. But like I think people were atting you to be like,
people were atting me like, oh, you'd be great. You'd be great at this. And I was like, I knew what a podcast was because I was doing one, but we won't talk about that. But yeah.
And at the time I was working at BuzzFeed. So then I was just like, hey, like what else can I do, sort of thing. And then she replied. A couple of other girls replied, and then I was like, cool, can I have everyone's emails, please? Because I was very professional.
It was very professional.
I was like, if I can get everyone's emails, that would be great. So then I emailed everybody to be like, hey, like I actually mean this. It wasn't just a tweet. What we're saying, let's all meet up. Got everyone's numbers, made a group chat.
How many? There
was 5 at the point. I've like narrowed it down to 5 at the time. I feel like
on the thread there was about 10.
There's probably about 10. Yeah.
10, got it down to 5.
So it was 10. I think I emailed all 10, and I was like, I need people, quick replies. I need serious people. So that narrowed it down to 5. And then we like all swapped numbers and made a group chat, and then we like went out for like drinks or whatever, just to see,
test the chemistry,
test the vibes. And it was like the vibes were great. Like the vibes were great. There was like loads. I mean, one of the other girls found out was dating the same guy at the time, which I thought was like really good content.
To be fair, you're not wrong.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so we like chatted up for ages. We were talking, it all really got on. One of the girls decided like it wasn't kind of for her before we started, which is absolutely fine. And then the 4 of us started.
And then you were a 4.
And now we were a 4. We launched as a 4. We went on for about 2 years as a 4.
Yeah.
Was it 2 years? Maybe a bit more, but it wasn't.
Do you know what it is? When I started listening, you had already existed. So
so you went back.
I was like this when I was working on a little computer. I banged out every day, listening. So I suppose what was 2 years felt like maybe 2 weeks.
I banged it out. Yeah.
So it was 2 years. It was about 2 years as a 4.
It was about 2 years as a 4. And Phoebe, who was the member that first left, she was a journalist as well, actually. So she was a journalist and quite serious journalist. And we had got bigger, and just not what she wanted.
Fair.
Like I don't think I always say I knew it was going to be big because of the way I am, I won't do something that I didn't think was going to be successful. But we were very like, we didn't have our faces anywhere. Like our artwork did not have our face. It didn't have our real names. We were all very like, we do it, but like, it's there. Like, but then we started doing live shows, started getting bigger, and I think it just kind of wasn't her thing. It wasn't her thing at all. So fair, absolutely fine. She left, and then we went on for probably about another 5 years as a 3.
No longer. It's like 6.
About 5, 6 years as a 3. And then it was because it was a 7th year. So at the start of the 7th year, which was last year, I kept making jokes like, we're going to get the 7-year itch. Ha 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 ha.
I was listening to that.
I thought it was hilarious. I know, right?
So like, feeling prophecy.
No, literally like the power of the tongue. I was just like, ha ha, like couples always wake up after 7 years. Kiki. Because I just thought, I've always been interested in the 7-year itch. I thought it was a fascinating thing to happen. And of course it happened to us. And like towards the end of the 7th year,
it's a very real thing.
Milena left. So then there was 2 of us. Now we're going to go into that 8th year with just the 2 of us.
We'll circle back to the different points, the 7-year itch. But I want to first kind of get an understanding. When was there a moment or an event where you both knew, like, this is something big?
Yeah.
Like, did you have? Surely in the beginning stages, because I assume at the beginning you were doing it and it was just because podcasts obviously take a really long time to actually do well.
Yeah.
Obviously now you're successful, huge, absolutely astronomical. Was there a moment at the beginning where you just thought, do you know what, this is something?
It was after episode 5 for me.
Episode
Yeah.
5?
Yeah. And I know it sounds saying,
moments,
it was after episode 5 for me. And I remember episode 5 was like it was our,
It's like
and I say that because everything else was kind of quite like surface level, like we just used to talk. And so episode 5 is called like daddy issues, wasn't it? And I think we spoke about relationships with our dad. It was a very emotional. I think me and Milena cried in that
it's very
episode.
emotional.
It's incredibly emotional, and it was the first time we'd like walk on the road and someone would be like, oh my god, I listened to that episode. I think it was at a rave. It was at a rave, and someone was just like, that episode changed my life, made me so emotional. And I was like, wait, this is
We're
a
doing
thing.
something
Yeah, we're
impactful.
actually making an impact. That's when it was one of the first times for me.
I totally agree. I feel like episode 5, that episode was like our cultural impactful episode for sure. But for me, the moments I think actually launched because when we put it out, we were all so scared. Well, I mean, I wasn't scared. I just wanted to just do it and just see what it was going to be saying, sort of thing. Tolly was really scared, and we were just like, for God's sake, let's just put this thing out.
Yeah.
And we were like dilly-dallying with the day and just like, you know, just procrastinating with when we were going to put it out. Anyway, eventually it just got put out. I think it was it Taser that just put it out?
I always say it got leaked.
Yeah, Taser was just
it got
do you know
leaked.
what, girls, you've got to just get on with this. Put
do
it out.
it, 100%.
And I was the opposite. Like Tolly was like, put it to bed, I don't want to know. And I was like looking on SoundCloud at the time. We used to upload on SoundCloud and just looking at the plays. And I remember us being like, if this gets like 20 plays, 50 plays, we'll be so happy.
We'll be fine, because like 5 of our friends each.
But by the
No,
end
that's
of the,
good.
Yeah, exactly. But by the end of the day, there was like 3,000 plays on day 1. And we just didn't understand like how it had just sort of caught legs so quickly. So that always like stands out to me. But then also in terms of like a more commercial aspects, when BET reached out to us and we did like our first thing,
I remember that.
I was like,
too,
no,
I was
people
there.
are paying attention. And we did something for Black Girls Rock. And it was
Yeah.
like, they invited us to a studio, and I think it was probably the first time like lights, camera, action kind of vibes. And I remember I was dressed so formal.
Oh my god, we both had blouses on. No,
we were
both
wearing
had a blouse.
blouses, like an actual blouse.
I had
like
a pink Philly blouse.
No, same. I was wearing a black.
Business.
I was wearing a black blouse. I was actually wearing like smart trousers
And Louboutins.
And my Louboutins. It was all so formal. I was like, what in the seriousness is going on? But yeah, that really stands out to me as well.
What was your marketing at the beginning? How did you even get 3,000?
Got word of mouth.
Well, it was word of mouth. We had
Word
no
of
marketing
mouth. So we
strategy.
had absolutely we had no money. We
had
weren't
nothing,
paying for everything.
yeah.
We had nothing. So it was word of mouth. Would like we got really, because I'm really big on saying what you are. Do you know, people are like, I'm trying to be this or whatever. I'm really big on just like, I'm a podcast. Like, this is what I do,
100%.
right? And we just sent it out on WhatsApp.
Yeah. And
WhatsApp?
Twitter.
We just like sent it everywhere on
Old school,
WhatsApp, and we all tweeted it, and that was all it was.
And do you think, let's say you started now, do you
Yeah.
think it would be easier or harder? Obviously, let's take away the fact that people say the podcast industry is oversaturated. Take that to the side.
Oh, I was
do you
gonna say that.
'cause- No, it is. Obviously, every industry,
Everything is now, yeah.
Do you think, because obviously now we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got so many means. Do you think it would have been easier?
I think what it is just to push it
to push
now.
Yeah, I think we'd have more
Marketing-wise.
tools
Yeah,
at our
marketing-wise.
disposal in terms of like getting it out there. But in terms of actually building an audience, I do think the oversaturated thing would play a part because people have so many options now.
It's true.
I
Yeah.
think when we launched, there wasn't many people
was 8
like
years ago,
us.
there was no
hardly any.
TikTok.
There was like, exactly, and there weren't really many black and brown women talking
No,
as
there
candidly
wasn't.
as we were. So I feel like people gravitated towards it because it was quite... It was a new concept still. Not that we were the first to do it, but in terms of our space and like London and all the rest of it. But I think now there are loads of options, which is obviously amazing. And I always say with podcasting that there is room for everybody because there's 24 hours in a day, 365 days a year. Like you don't have to just listen to us. You can listen to us and everyone
someone
else.
else. Yeah.
So I think, we'd have more aids at our disposal to
Absolutely.
push it. But in terms of like what we were able to do back then, I don't know that we
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, for me, your podcast was the first podcast I ever listened
Yeah,
to.
it's like a lot of
that was,
Yeah.
and for my friends, like the way I listened to it, the way I heard about it was like my friend said, "Guys, we need to listen to this podcast. It's funny."
Yeah.
And I was like, because I just wasn't a podcast person. I'm a read a book.
Most people
Yeah,
are like
no,
that. Most people said
people say
I just read a book.
Yeah.
I'll be so real. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even an audiobook person. That's just no for me. I like to smell the paper. Anyways, my friends were like, listen to this podcast, and I was like, all right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hooked. From
Yay.
episode 1,
Wow.
obviously.
Love that for
And as I
you
said, I backed
and
it. I was like, God, I don't know what kind of job I was doing because I had a lot of time to be listening.
But that's what it is. That's why I love the most
Yeah.
about podcast, and that's why I don't love video in podcasting. In the introduction of it, like, because for me, like, podcast just kept you company. You
could- you
didn't
could
need
listen
to.
to it
I didn't need to
anytime.
stop my
Yeah.
life to listen to it. I just carried on
This
as
is
I
very
was, and it
true.
was just going along with me.
This is very true. What were your initial like setbacks, barriers?
Oh God, I think
Being broke.
being broke was it. Yeah, we were all still working full time at the time.
Yeah.
I had like, actually, sorry, I just remembered a marketing campaign, I think that we did. I'd wrote an article at BuzzFeed and I was like, I'd like to write about podcasts, and I just slid my one in there. Free promo. I'm gonna be like, there's this new thing, and just slid my one in there. We were like, I think broke, but also like just lack of information. Like I was the one editing it. Well, Phoebe initially, then I started editing it, and it was like we didn't know. Like, if you listen back to the quality, is shocking.
Yeah.
It's so.
Because where did
bad.
you start recording? Was it in a studio?
We did it at a studio, but because we didn't necessarily know what mics were good, and also the studio was probably just figuring it out themselves. We stood at a dance studio, and we would go home. We didn't know anything about levels. We used to use a free software to like edit. So there was all of these things that we just a lack of information, and I think that's maybe a good thing about maybe starting it now, because you learn from everybody else's mistakes.
This is very true.
Like you going straight into video, you going straight into great and crisp audio, whereas we were just
But also the way that podcasts are consumed has changed.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't actually watch full podcasts. They just watch the clips.
Yeah, no,
Which is
massively.
even that,
Which is
yeah.
insane to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys moved to video not recently, but
No,
when?
relatively recently.
Yeah, considering how long we've been doing it.
We
We've
were
been doing video
adamant.
for
We
I was
were
gonna say,
gonna
were
do
you
video.
against it?
Yeah,
Like 2 years, if that?
Honestly, about 2 years ago we started
Yeah.
video. I was kind of like, no, I don't want to do video.
I didn't want to either because
Didn't want to do video.
I'm the same. Like the true essence of podcasting for me is that it's an audio platform
listen
kind of
to
thing.
it.
But I guess you have to evolve
Move with the times, honey.
You have to, yeah.
Was it
the
was it an
times.
adjustment to move to video? Because obviously, when no one can see you, you can really just kind of
Oh
do
my
what you
God.
want.
Oh my God, do you know what was great about when there wasn't
Talk about
video,
it.
right? We just, honestly, we got carried. We just used to talk.
Yeah,
We used to talk. Also, bearing in mind, the first 10 episodes were hammered.
yeah, always.
That is honestly worth
Oh,
remembering.
interesting.
Absolutely off our
Drinks were
faces.
flowing.
Oh, off our faces. We'll go and buy cheap, like £5 bottle of wine each.
and just back it.
And back it whilst recording.
I
I'm
can't
not even
imagine-
joking.
No one here is drinking or no one here is drunk.
No, everyone
No,
here was sober and
everyone's
fine.
sober,
I'm actually
yeah.
teetotal, I'm definitely not drunk.
Yeah,
but no one
we
else
were
here.
No, we're good.
No,
Not
we
yet,
are
anyway.
not drinking at all. But yeah, that's what we used to do. Is just drink, and it was like because there was no camera, you were just talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you actually forgot you were talking to the mic. We just used to talk to each other and keep.
I guess it's
your
more
laugh.
relaxed.
Very
Absolutely,
much so.
yeah,
Yeah, like you're not so
natural.
conscious of like your facial expression.
Oh my gosh. And that I think that's what would worry me.
Yeah.
Because when you do things like radio and stuff, you could really pull any kind of face.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
very
yeah.
someone, my face is very expressive.
Same.
If I don't like what someone is saying,
Oh yeah,
you will
Oh,
know.
Absolutely.
Have you do you think you've had to like train yourselves
Oh,
to
absolutely.
like keep your face?
I think it's not even about not liking someone saying it's. Let's say Audrey's telling a story, and I know more detail of that story. I just have to not look at her. I just have to look down.
Yeah,
Because I'll be
exactly.
like, oh, is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even though, like, for me, I prefer, even when I listen to podcasts, I very rarely watch video.
I
I
don't
always
watch it,
listen to
yeah.
audio.
Yeah, so I'm an audio babe.
It also has been, because there's been so many moments that we've had where honestly do wish we had video to see, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you can watch us and
Yes.
see our expressions, and people say that often with particular moments. So I don't know, there's pros and cons, but also just, the fact that we have to be dressed up all the time, conscious of like how you look, whereas before we weren't. It was just like, none of that stuff mattered. No one even knew what we looked like.
Yeah.
And I guess
How
people
long
played
do you think
to
people
strength of
didn't know
we're
what you
saying.
looked like?
A while, like a good...
I think
there
it
was-
was wow.
People had to go seek us out.
People had to go find us.
Yeah, you had to go find us. But it wasn't plastered everywhere unless you came to a live show.
Because your original what do you call it, cover image
Yeah,
was
artwork,
was the drawn receipts and the hand,
the
right?
hand, yeah.
How long did you have that?
I want to say about 5 years.
Yeah,
you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
we had that
a
for quite a
while,
while.
yeah.
We used to change up every time someone left. We take the name.
Just
off
take the name off it.
Yeah.
And
The
just
receipt.
less and less names. Yeah.
Like, I thought it was fun and cute, but do you think it's important to have your faces as a part of your brand? I mean, yeah, it's kind of.
I think now it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before it really wasn't, and now that our faces are now outside of the podcast, a thing as well. So I think I definitely do think now it is, but then it really wasn't. But we were really keen on the messaging we wanted the artwork to give. So if you realize it's a black hand holding it, that was a big thing for us. And we were really big on it wearing a version that looked like a Michael Kors watch. And that was important.
Why Michael Kors?
Because at that time, that was what people our age, that was luxury.
That was a signifier.
That was a signifier of like a certain time and a certain type of girl. So that was really big on for us to do with that as well.
Michael Kors watches.
Girl.
Shout out them
Yeah.
What's our signifier now?
I don't know if there is a watch-wise anyway.
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't had a
There was
watch
like a
in years.
unity with the
Michael
Michael
we all had
Kors.
them.
Yeah.
Right?
The gold.
So we wanted you to see the artwork and think, oh, this has got something to do with me. Yeah. Like, this I can relate to. And there was like little nuggets in it. For example, the barcode was all of our birthdays at the bottom.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Like things like that no one just mattered to us. Didn't really
I didn't
Yeah, no, honestly, didn't matter to
Little
anyone
inside
else
jokes,
but us. Yeah.
So obviously over the years, I've followed you for the whole journey. It
Thank
seems.
you.
I've seen you guys have been through a lot of changes, which for many people could have been discouraging to continue. How have you overcome those? Like, how you're here
Girl.
as a 2, as we said, from a 5 kind of to a 4
5-ish. Yeah.
to a 2.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, from a 4 to a 3 to a 2.
Yeah.
How have you kept going?
Do you know what? I think we both have the same goal.
Which is?
I think, which is we really care about this thing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's never a thing just because we want it to be popular. It was never a thing because other people were doing it. Like, it is genuinely our baby. I we were talking about it recently. I remember when Phoebe first left, I had a big thing. I was like, people are going to think women can't work together. That was such a big worry for me.
Okay.
And I was like, there's already this stereotype. These girls don't know each other. People were kind of like waiting for us to be.
Yeah, waiting for a
Like,
downfall,
they're going to fall out.
Yeah.
They're going to fall out. And with Phoebe leaving, it wasn't even a fallout.
At all.
Like, it wasn't a
It was
fallout
the most
at all. And I
genuine
remember being
thing.
so annoyed to be like, damn, like that's going to be the story of it. And I guess the millennial leaving, that was a fallout. That was like a big thing and everything like that.
That was huge.
But
That took up the TL for
Do you know?
some time.
Also, that was another time that I realised how big this podcast was.
Really?
I promise you. I was like, sorry, why am I on BBC News?
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
I was like, it's a slow news day today, honeys.
Why am I like?
Yeah.
Because of a thing that I chat.
That's actually a very quite serious question.
It made
you made BBC News.
Yeah, we actually did.
I think it made us realize to be like,
Whoa,
this
yeah.
is bigger than this is way bigger than what we thought it was. We didn't even think it would shake. People were like, oh my god, my group chat was popping off.
Yeah.
People I know, people were
My
asking
group
me,
chat that day,
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
honest with you, was popping off.
It's actually mad.
That's the hottest thing I've... Was it
Yeah.
this happened this year?
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
was-
this year. Well,
No. It was
we came
announced.
back this
You
year.
came back in
Yeah,
January,
yeah,
last
but it was
year,
last year.
Yeah. And I just don't. That was the big. I was like, oh, this is. And yeah, it kept going because we both, even when that whole thing happened, I don't think any of me and you thought this is it. And I was like, we're still doing this.
No, literally.
That was the first thing I said.
Yeah.
I was like, because Audrey was heavily pregnant.
Yeah.
I was like, baby, we're still doing this. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry, take time.
Yeah.
But we're still doing this.
So you didn't let that rock you at
Well,
all?
the thing is, I think for us, we both also felt like we're not done yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not done. There's still things to talk about. There's still stories to share. Like Tolly said, I was just about to give birth. I was so excited to come back and share this new chapter of my life because I'd been so transparent about my
Yes,
desires on
you
the
had
show.
been, yeah.
And I think it was to the year I had been talking about, or maybe 2 years, to the time that I gave birth to my daughter, I'd been talking about I'd gone to get my eggs checked.
Yeah.
And I was just been so transparent. So I couldn't wait to come back and share. And then suddenly this big like fallout happened. And I felt like I wasn't done. I was like, I'm not done. But Tolly was working in the background. I had no idea what was going on. I was heavily sedated and had no clue what was going on. And when I spoke to Tolly, she was like, we're still doing this.
Like, here's the deck,
and
here's this,
literally,
here's this,
and like
what's
Tolly
it
had
look
been working, like things were moving and ticking in the background. And I've never been so relieved in my whole life because I just felt like, no, there's still so much more to do. Like there's still so much more to share. Our audience love us. Like this was not the way to go out. Not that we think it's going to go on forever, but right now in this very
not the
moment,
right
it's
time.
it's not over.
And even...
And also, it was almost like someone wasn't going to end it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not where like a call
if you
exactly.
when you decide,
Yeah.
and even the way it was received on social media, did that not like deter you? Because obviously with social media, everyone made their own. Everybody's making their own, and also that's how these things go.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone needs to fill in some sort of blank. There were stories here and there. Did that not make you feel like, can we still do this?
Do you know why it didn't? Like, it made me feel away, of course, because we knew the truth.
Yeah.
I think if any version of what was said on socials was the truth, I'd be like,
How did they know?
Yeah.
How they find out?
But I think because we really knew what the truth was.
Yeah,
it was
okay.
just like, no.
But I think that's something to be said, because when you are public facing in any sphere, TikTok, Instagram, people make a lot of comments constantly,
my
right? People
God.
jump to conclusions constantly. And I always do wonder, how do you deal with it?
I log off. I don't look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
I was gonna say, what's your approach?
Yeah. Because the thing is, like, and I like people that love me and know me be like, hey, do you want to say it? I'm like, no one say anything. Just leave it.
Same. That's exactly my approach. I just made sure that my socials were no one was accessible to me. Like, no one could DM me. No, you couldn't even.
Good.
Now you still can't at me in anything. Like, I turned my limited my comments. I did that on all my socials. So honestly, I didn't see anything. And we share a lot of group chats, and we said, listen, guys, don't bring. And people don't always bring you stuff with bad intentions. Like, I think sometimes.
Yeah, I do wonder, how do people?
But for me, I don't want to know. And it just had to be background noise. But also, I guess we're blessed because we have a platform, and we knew we were coming back.
Yeah.
And so much was going on, and we just said, let's just savor everything, and we'll just give our version. Like, we will tell the truth when the time is right. And I think obviously that's a privilege to be able to do that. But for me, I just block it out. I don't want to know.
Just block out the noise.
Simple as that. It's actually so easy to do if you make yourself inaccessible to people.
Yeah, and also I always say at the podcast, you lot are not my God. Like I said, and I'm always fascinated by people's thinking that they can get to, like, I always say there's love at home and you lot are not my God. Like, you lot can't move
This
me.
is very
I
true.
will rock your jaw. Like, who are you talking to? Like I said, and you can't move me.
It is
It
is very true.
And I think when people realise they can't move you, it really bothers them.
stop
And they're like,
trying,
no. But it's like, you can't. You're not my God.
Yeah.
I think it's because the way I'm envisioning it, it's like when things are popping off in the TL, right? That's the news cycle for the whole week.
Yeah.
So how would you just not go on social media that whole week? Because it was everywhere.
I was still tweeting about housewives.
You're just living your life.
I don't care. Like, you're not gonna run me off no platforms. I'm just gonna live my life and blah blah blah. And in a way, it's kind of good because you get to see the people that actually really mess with you and the people that are really sincere and genuinely like support you. And it just separates like.
And you know, it was so funny because it
mess.
was such an online thing. Anytime we were out. Love you girls.
Exactly.
Please don't
Real
stop.
life.
So it was different.
Email, completely
Real life.
different reactions.
So interesting.
Like, completely.
Yeah.
Because normal people won't be tweeting that.
Exactly.
No.
People.
And people
Everyone
doing
needs
it
to
from
get
their
a
burners.
grip. Like,
It's
you know what I
burner-
mean?
yeah, you're right,
And also,
burner
I'm always
accounts.
fascinated that your biggest video is a video about you talking about someone. That's incredibly embarrassing.
That is a true shame to the people, man.
Yeah, very
How
true.
do you feel like you two's friendship has evolved? Obviously, that would have also been something that probably brought you closer together.
Yeah, we're incredibly close.
Yeah, very much
We've
so.
always been incredibly close. I think outside of the similarities of how we were brought up, blah, 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 there's always been a respect here. And also we have both worked hard to get friendship. It wasn't just we'll just work together and see what happens, whatever. I think we have both gone out of a way to make sure this friendship works. Like, very early on, we started the podcast, Audrey was getting married and she was like, I'm going on a hen do. And I was like, sure, I'm going to come. So it was all very like, we made efforts. Hey, I'm doing this thing. My family was doing that thing. Cool, I'm going to be there. So it was like we continuously showed up for each other. We spent a lot of time together. God, we raved.
We really have
Did you guys
enjoyed.
partying?
We were just out on Sunday. We're out together all the time.
In the beginning, every weekend we were at a rave.
Literally.
We were at.
Without fail. We've done
There
holidays.
wasn't
We've done it
no
all.
party on shubs.com that we didn't go to. We were partiers,
100%. And I
yeah.
feel like, obviously, we're in a very unique situation, which naturally brings you closer together. I mean,
Yes.
we're business partners, we're best friends. And it is really nice that, like, because we didn't know each other before, we've really been able to, like, establish, like, our business relationship
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. And then the friendship is just a beautiful byproduct of that. And I think, like, people really try to, like, criminalize us and, like, weaponize us and demonize us for being close. And I was like, ain't
Why?
no
In
way.
in what?
You're going
What angle
to,
are they coming from there?
well, I guess because we were a three,
Oh,
people
right.
tried to pit you up against each other,
Yeah.
and like the narrative was that because we're closer. But I'm just like, that is not a crime. Do you know what I mean? That is not a crime. And yeah, I'm never going to be apologetic about that. It just is what it is. And like Tolly said, we've shown up for each other, and like we've taken like active steps to make sure our friendship is what it is. And like I can never apologize to anybody for that.
And you stand on that.
That's right. Hell no.
Have you found it difficult navigating business and friendship? Because I know for a lot of people, when they try to work together, it doesn't work.
But remember,
I feel
we
like
weren't
the other way
friends.
around.
Oh, because you've gone.
remember we weren't
started
friends
as a
business to
business.
friends.
Yeah.
I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And also, one of the things I think that works really well is we play to our strengths.
Yeah.
And like no one feels slighted because of anything else.
Yeah.
It's like I know what Tolly's strengths are, she knows what my strengths are, and together it's what makes the business run. And also because we've acquired a team now, so we delegate. So we're not really like forward facing like that as much, which is really nice. I think it just like helps the friendship side of things. But no, like we're we're great. I think.
Yeah, and we have like updates to what we want. To be like, yo, is it like every couple of months? Are we still on the same?
Yeah,
like,
communication.
are we good? Is it still what you want? And not just what you want to doing a podcast, but like, is the business going how you want it to go?
Yeah.
I think it took us a little while to realize it was a business.
Oh yeah, definitely. We were just
Like,
we were
But
mates
because you're
that were
having
doing
fun
something.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
This is not
Yeah.
like
You're
sitting
an entrepreneur.
down.
I'm like, no, I'm not. What do you mean?
Exactly.
No, but
Yeah.
we are. Yeah.
So at first, what I'm quite interested in is when you're navigating the friendship and stuff, and obviously now you're telling me you've acquired a team. Let's talk a little bit about that, because do people who are starting out, do they need a team? What's the situation?
Unless you've got the funds, of course, absolutely. If you're doing something that's under a company, if you're being sponsored, if that option is there, sure, go for it. We did everything ourselves,
Everything
including
in-house.
our live shows. We used to book our own venues. We used to do all of that ourselves. We used to edit ourselves. We used to reach out to guests ourselves. We didn't have a producer on it until
last year.
Like everything was just us, and it was tiring, but it was like we cared. Like we really incredibly cared. Also, I don't know how much money we had to be paying everybody anyway.
Yeah, we didn't
like,
have a choice at the time.
girl, we were trying to keep the money in house.
Yeah, for real. We were trying to get
we
paid.
just used to do everything. And I think when we were not just us two, there used to be annoyances that someone's upping up their way, or that someone's not doing this enough. There used to be things like that, which it causes a bit of attention to be like, hey, everybody is trying here. So I do think not necessarily you don't need one straight away,
But it does help, because obviously there are pros. I feel like trying to do everything.
no, it helps massively.
It's
Yeah,
not for
definitely.
everybody.
And also it gets to the point that like because I remember when I used to edit the podcast, and one day I said to the girls, I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to edit it anymore. And that is because it was taking away my joy of being the yapper.
Yeah.
Because
Takes away that
we'll be
creativity.
talking,
Yeah.
and in my head I'm like, oh god, that bit needs to get cut out, or I'll like make the conversation a bit shorter because I'm thinking as a producer rather than just being able to be in the conversation, and I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. But if there was no option, I would have carried on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear it. You guys have had some really amazing guests over the year, some real facts. I'm curious to know who've been your favorite guests thus far.
Oh god, we've got so
You've had
many.
you've had so
Do
many.
you know what?
You've had so many.
It's a little story about our guest. Our first guest we really wanted. Do you remember that British girl, Asia, that went in Love and Hip Hop? They had a big argument with Cardi B.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Where is she?
And I was like in her DMs being like, hey, would love to. We were trying to get this girl aired every single whatever. And we thought she would be such a sick guest at the time. She's in this American show, whatever. And that's how we used to get guests. We just used to
Reach out to people.
DMs.
And that's it,
just
simple as
hey,
that.
is it okay? Yeah. Used to get quite a lot of our friends to come on. I think our first big guest was probably Jackie Aina.
Yeah, she
Yes,
was.
okay.
Yeah. And that was even a thing of because you knew.
Yeah.
So it was all of that. But favourite guest, Paul is up there for me.
Yep.
One of my favourite episodes, only because I'm a huge fan of him outside of all of this
And
as
that episode was just lovely.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
It
really
was just a
good.
lovely.
Yeah.
Love was really in the
Yeah,
room
it
with
really,
us.
really was. Yeah, Candice is one of
That's
my faves as
top-
well. I think
top-notch
she's
guest.
incredibly smart. And God, who else? Dottie has been there for funny ones.
Retry 2,
Retry 3 was a good one.
Mo the comedian, like Alicia Dixon recently.
Sorry.
Like,
I love that
yeah.
one.
The Alicia
Such a
Dixon
sweetheart.
episode
Yeah, that was
was great
really
because
good.
I think not many people know Alicia Dixon as a person.
Personality.
She's so lovely,
Yeah,
isn't
she?
she's
She's
one of the
funny.
best
Oh my
people
gosh,
in the
So
industry.
fun. And her laugh is the
Yeah,
best laugh
it's so
ever in the world.
contagious.
So
Yeah,
good.
such
Such a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the beauties of
Yeah.
your podcast. It gets to show people
That's
for who
a
they
big
are
thing
and
for
not
us.
just as like a singer
Yeah.
or a dancer.
Yeah.
Do you have any specifics in terms of who you have on? Is it like anyone who's popping?
We have to like them.
Yeah, we have to like
That's a
them.
good start.
That's a big thing for us. That we have to like them. They have to, because some people are really great and popping and make great music, for example, but they're not talkers.
That is very true. Some people
So
are
it kind
hard
of defeats
to.
the purpose. Yeah. And also we always have to be like, it's not an interview, it's a chat and you join in on it
Yeah.
sort of thing. That's always been our big thing. So yeah, I think liking them, we have to make sure we haven't chatted shit about them.
Yeah, that's one thing we have to go check.
That must be. How do you
know
check
how hard
that?
that is?
I just have to run my
Because
sleep
sometimes
back.
we have to be like, wait, have we ever said anything
Yeah.
negative about them before?
How do you check that? Because you guys be talking.
I do remember most of what is said on the podcast. So I'm quite good at I'll remember, but you know, we had a guest recently that wanted to come on. I won't say who it is, and we were kind of like, with the PR, we were really honest. We were like, by the way, we've said a lot of things.
Was that they can,
but we've talked. And they were just like, do you know what? They're willing to talk about it. Like, it's all good. We were like, okay,
Oh.
sweet.
Yeah. It didn't end up happening.
Yeah, it didn't end up happening. So I think that was
that's a
like a
shame.
sign from God.
Yeah.
But the guests, yeah, just people that we think are going to be a vibe.
Have you had a least favourite guest?
Mine's still the City Girls.
Yeah, you did not enjoy.
Do you know what? Can you share the story for those who do not know about the City Girls stories?
So we had the City Girls on, and it was just mad because they reached out to us, which I do think is an important nugget to the story, by the way.
Thank you.
And
so they reached out to you and said, we want to come on.
Yeah, not them, but
Not
their
them, but
people.
their
That's their team.
And this was in lockdown, so recording was already really stressful because we're doing it from home, laptops, mics from home, headphones. It was just a mess. So we set it all up, and I remember, Tolly, you'd send guests like this really detailed email of like everything that they need, like make sure you've got decent headphones, make sure you're in a quiet room, whatever.
There's another time we'll be like, we'll send mics if you don't have it.
Exactly, really
detailed.
on point. And so they'd come on and they just were not interested in being there, and it was just very apparent. And I remember, because it was them, we had obviously wanted to be as accommodating as possible. So it was the day before we're supposed to like upload, and episode's supposed to go out. So this episode has to be good because we don't really have any choice.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. They just clearly didn't want to be there. It was just very awkward, to the point where it did turn into an interview, because it was like they just were not.
They weren't giving anything.
And, were asking questions about the album, and I just remember being like, the time period has kind of gone global. Like, how do you feel like that you started it? And they're just like, yeah. Anybody tell us that? And we're just like, oh my, it was just awful. It was awful.
And like, young Naomi was like in her bed.
Literally,
and honestly, there's a screenshot of her. She's just like this,
just like.
So
angry.
the way the episode, because obviously it was virtual. Was it intended that you would see both parties, or was it just going to be audio?
It was just going to be audio.
Okay,
there wasn't video at the time.
Yeah,
so, so I don't even mind if she was relaxing on her bed if she gave us content.
Exactly, but there was no talking. It was awful. It was like pulling teeth. And
honestly, we were probably about like, I want to say 20 minutes in outside this, and I just ended the Zoom.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when the PR emailed, I was like, oh, sorry, the Zoom's gone.
I thought it was God at first.
Yeah, because Audrey thought it was just happening.
Yeah.
And I texted the group chat, I was like, I ended up.
I was thinking, thank God, because I was thinking, was anyone else thinking that was going really well? Because the American PR were like, this is going amazing. And we're just like, if this is amazing, I don't want to know what they think bad is, because this was hell.
And I did it, I think it was like I was talking, so I locked it off whilst I was talking.
So it seemed like a little malfunction.
But actually,
you actually just locked it off. And you felt no ways about that?
There was no time. I was like, no, there was no time, because we had to go re-record one outside of these women.
Sorry.
And we had to go out that night.
And we're always like, it doesn't matter how good the guest is. If the content isn't going to be good, it's not.
There's no point.
And remember, them in America, so it was late for us.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I was like, yeah, no, this is good. This can't.
So that would be worst. But you've got a good, you then just filmed a new episode.
We did, and it was a really good episode actually. But I still really want to talk to JT. I really like JT.
Okay, so it's not, you're not vetoed.
I mean, I'm still salty about the whole thing, but I will give her a chance for Tolly. If she ever wants to come on, I can move on from it.
So let's talk about how your life's changed. Obviously, your lives has changed quite drastically.
Just a little bit.
Like in my opinion, you guys are on billboards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal for a normal civilian. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
How have you seen your lives change because of the podcast?
I mean, firstly, financially.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Like, I think there is. I think people don't want to talk about it, but no, this podcast has changed my life. Like, it has changed my life. I was able to buy a house from this. Like, it has meant that we can do this as like full-time jobs. Like, it's massively, massively changed our lives. Obviously, we started it 8 years ago, going on 8 years ago now. So we've grown
as people.
I started this when I was 27.
And you can also hear that you've grown
up.
The way that you respond to dilemmas and stuff in comparison to the beginning to now is very different.
Massively grown.
And it's nice to hear.
And like, we've had huge life events. Audrey's got married. Audrey's had a child. Like, I've lost a parent. We've had parents that's been sick. There's been huge life, even outside of the podcast stuff happening, whilst this whole thing has just been consistent and continuous around the whole thing. And then even things like, I think being recognised still throws me. We got stopped on our way here earlier. And I was saying to Audrey, because normally I like to feel like I can tell a receipts listener.
How so?
I feel like I just like I can just see it. I can see.
Do you know what? I know what you mean, because I think some people that come up to me from my TikTok, it does shock me that you watch my content.
No, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I would never walk past this woman and thought she knew anything about me or knew who I was. And I was so incredibly flattered. I think it does show us how our audience is. Oh my, it's so wide. Like, we will get like a woman who bakes from the countryside, lovely, blonde, beautiful life. I'm like, what have we got for you? But like, it's
it's like,
and it's It amazes me. Like every time we get stopped or whatever, I'm like, thank you, because like, wow,
Gratitude.
Like, yeah. Like,
Because do you know what? A lot of people struggle with being humble. And that's actually the truth. Some people, stopping people, for example.
Yeah.
Some people, you stop them, they don't want to talk to you.
But you know what? They don't have to.
Yes, I don't disagree, but you don't have to be rude, I don't think.
I'm always on the fence with people's needs for people to be humble.
I think.
Because I think often humble, like, I think you kind of only have to be humble to God. No one's above you.
Do you know what? That is a fair testament.
And again, nobody has to be rude. Like, nobody, like, but someone's walking by your day, you're like, excuse me, gonna get well,
yeah, no, of course.
What I've been through. You don't know what that person's been through.
Of course.
And then, like, for example, you see huge celebrities get stopped all the time, and they're just like, no, I'm good, thank you. Someone will be like, she's such a nasty person. I was like,
but I think that's really polite.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's how you do it.
That person
I'm not
just
today.
gone through, like, please, I'm with my family, whatever. And I'm not like that at all. I will give you a hug, I'll say hello,
same.
whatever. But also,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge celebrity, so it doesn't stop
It's not
my
all
life.
the time, yeah.
I get what you
So
mean.
I can imagine if you are the 58th person to be like, hey, can I get my boy?
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
just trying to get to the supermarket.
Even the other
bro.
day, we saw the actor Delroy.
Oh, what's his name again?
Delroy something. This
yeah.
black actor. We're such idiots. And like, we're walking, and we're just like, oh look, it's the actor.
It's like, yeah, no, literally.
Loud
And then,
enough
he,
for the man
and
to
then he
hear.
just laughed and he was
And he
like,
goes,
that
yeah,
actor.
sure, that actor.
It just was so instinctive, and I was so embarrassed. But yeah.
How do you feel like your life has changed since being on the old poddy?
my life has changed for the better, man. As Tolly said, sort of life transitions. Like, I've always been a proper open book, and I've been unapologetic about it. I think that, like, sharing is caring, and, you know, it's really nice to, like, see people grow with you. I think that's the nicest thing. And just to, like, have your elevation and your growth documented is, like, so mad to me. And it's like just things that really just, like, move me is like when people say, oh, I was in, like, my university lecture and you guys came up in the study, or
That's
you know,
amazing.
like,
Yeah,
things like that
always
happen often. Like, my niece was like, she was in her media class and we came up when they were talking
That's
about podcasts.
amazing.
Things like that remind me of how impactful this whole thing is, and this whole community is what just lets me know the elevation. Like, it's crazy. Like, it started off, like, even though it did well early doors, like, we're constantly being reminded, like, who has access to it, who listens, who supports. And honestly, like Tolly was saying, financially, just being able to do things like, if I wasn't doing the podcast, I wouldn't have the sort of work-life balance that I have with my daughter, and things like that it's really, really nice. Things that might have taken a little bit longer to do, I'm able to do them faster, and then I just, it's dope. Like, yeah, it's been great.
And you've touched on all the different life changes, obviously marriage, baby, you lost a parent, you've lost a member, which is quite serious as well.
Like a friendship
so,
breakup.
A friendship breaking up, loads going on. How have you managed to, like, consistently show up? Because I think that is something people want to know. You guys have experienced so many things, and every week the episode is coming out.
We've never missed one.
We've never missed 8 years.
How have you managed that?
8 years we've done this. We of us has never missed one. It's not always been easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like
it's good to know that.
It's
definitely
honestly,
not.
it's not always been easy. I think it's because we really care about it. And it's our job, and it's something we know that we incredibly care about. Even when we go on holiday, we pre-record, we get things banged. Never, apart from when Audrey had a baby, we'd never gone on a break until last year, and now we're absolutely going to do breaks. God,
That wasn't even a break.
Oh my
we
God,
pre-recorded.
We
The plan was to
pre-recorded.
pre-record.
The plan was not to have a break.
quite
yeah,
pregnant.
yeah.
Yeah, but we still had episodes coming out, and the plan was just for me to give birth and see how I felt. And
Have a
then,
little maternity break.
Yeah, have a break, and then we were going to come back and reconvene. And had things not gone down the way they were, thank God everything was fine. I would have come back after the Banks episodes were up, and we would have just carried on. And there would have been no hiatus. We were almost forced into a hiatus because of the situation just made sense. But generally, like, we've always showed up no matter what the situation is.
And it's been dire. No, like,
there's been times
genuinely
where,
been
it's been-
dire
it's been
situations.
damn bad.
Like, even like when my dad died, there has been to be like, yo, girls, this thing has just happened. And I think there was another day when I found out my mum got diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, I can't come to record. And I was meant, like, and we just kind of always make it work. Even like, oh, well, let's say I'll just come in a couple of days later. Or we'll just be like, but like, I think, and also it's one of those things that genuinely brings us joy.
Yeah.
I think for, like, regardless of what's going on, we get those mics in our mouths and in our mouths. and like you sometimes I hear it when I listen back, like the first 5 minutes you can tell like, oh,
Yeah, we're just warming up here.
we're just like,
defrosting.
you can
Yeah.
tell when maybe something's happened beforehand,
Yeah.
or someone's feeling well, someone's upset, whatever. But you can always see it, and genuinely, we leave there happier.
By the end, it's
That's so
Like
amazing.
every single time I felt away, I've had a lot of things going on. We record, and I leave that place happier. Like every single time.
So I feel like honestly, this is a testament to where you are now, because you would, I don't know if you could be where you are now if you kept stopping, breaking after everything that happened.
yeah.
So you mentioned you're going to be going on, maybe doing some little breaks. What kind of
Just
breaks?
like a Christmas.
Yeah, just like wait.
We're going to have Christmas. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't scare the listeners.
No, like as in a week for Christmas.
Yeah, like literally.
Which we never used to do.
We
This
never
is how
did.
much I'm
So you
saying.
would even film like Christmas week.
We've recorded on
we
Christmas
pre-record.
Eve before.
Yeah,
Like
we
it's
pre-record.
Christmas Eve?
No, I'm not
Yeah.
joking.
You should be in Turkey or
No,
something.
like literally. So we'll have a day off for Christmas.
Yeah, we'll have a
Okay, and do you know what? I like that because work-life balance. Yeah, you should
Exactly.
encourage that all the time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the dilemmas. So, if those of you don't know, obviously the receipts. Well, you've got different layouts now.
Yeah.
In fact, do you know what?
Yes.
You
Small
say what your
changes.
layout is.
Oh,
What is the layout of
gosh.
the receipts? What do people expect to hear once or twice?
Yes.
Twice a week.
So we're
3 times
twice
if
a
you're
week.
big.
So
Oh, gosh.
we have an episode on Monday.
Yep.
And the Monday is what we call the Your Receipts, which is when we just help our listeners with their dilemmas and whatever it is that they're going through. And then we have an episode on Wednesday, which is just like good old chat.
Yep.
We'll have a chin wag. And now that we're on Patreon, we have an episode on Friday that comes out for like our Patreon only subscribers. And yeah, so that's how it happens. So the dilemmas are we get like emails of people be going through
things.
People
a
be
lot.
go. I want
going through
to find out first from you two your most memorable receipts, dilemmas. I'm going to start with mine.
Yeah,
Okay, go for it.
I hope I'm not going to just remix it, but it was something along the lines of someone was either staying at their boyfriend's house or living with their boyfriend, and the mum kept defecating in the corner of the bath.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
You don't even know if
We'll
it was the
never
corner. I
know.
think it was floating.
She was every time she went in the shower, there was
Yeah.
There was shit
there was
in the
poop
bath.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually poop there. What
Yeah.
advice did you give there again?
We just said it's her home, bro.
Yeah, we just said if you don't like it, leave.
Go in the morning before go.
Yeah.
Like I said, like go home before. Like,
don't
don't
know
shower
what-
there. It's her house.
Exactly.
Like what
You
am I
can't
saying?
do that.
To be honest,
ma'am.
what can you do?
What can you say?
Nothing.
I can't tell my boyfriend, be like, babe, can you tell your mum to stop pooing in the bath?
And maybe they're used to it. I mean, I'm sure they
And
are.
it's a thing that happens in their
Yeah,
family.
they just know what it is.
Yeah.
What have been your most memorable receipts, or the one you can think of at the top of your head right now?
More recently, it was there's been a couple. So there was the woman who was married to this guy, and he was really happy and proud of the fact that she was a virgin, and he would boast about her being a virgin, but her sister had wrote in to say that actually she's not a virgin because she is secretly raising her nephew.
Oh, okay. Secret baby.
Secret baby. So she has a secret baby. Her husband doesn't know, thinks she's a virgin, but she has a whole child that her sister's raising. And the sister's over raising him and just being like, listen, you're getting all this praise and glory
Take
for
your
being a
youth back.
virgin. I'm raising your kid. You're not a virgin. I'm actually the virgin.
Oh.
And the husband would like shame her as well for like
wow.
not being a virgin, but she's actually the virgin. Your wife's not a virgin. So it just sounds like a hot mess. But yeah, that was pretty up there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was
paternity
one that I
one.
remember. Oh, the paternity one was insane.
Yeah,
What
that's
was
out.
that?
So and almost definitely illegal. She was with her partner, and her partner was got like another kid before they met, and they've now had her and her partner have had a kid, and she's like, hey, the kid looks like me and my partner. I think she was basing it on the like
Skin
how
color,
dark
yeah.
or thingy they were. So then she went to go get a paternity test on the kid that's not hers. That's
Okay.
like her partner's
Yeah.
first kid, and found out that's not his kid, and she's now asking us what she should do. Sorry, why am I in it?
It's too late. You should have asked us before you
You
did
should
it.
have never done it.
That is.
Yeah.
Some of the things that come in, and that's actually
It's despicable,
what
isn't
I
it?
want to ask is, when you get the really heavy dilemmas,
get heavy ones.
how do you navigate answering them?
We get heavy ones, and we've got heavy ones in the past where we haven't read out and we've just emailed.
Okay.
Yeah. So now every time you email us a dilemma, you get an auto response, which includes helplines.
Amazing.
Yeah, you include a list of helplines, people you can talk to, because sometimes it's very small. Sometimes it's a huge life thing, and someone's feeling suicidal and blah 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 blah. So that's always a thing that we do, but they are heavy ones. And do you know what? It's always really weird reading it out, because we would have just read one out about someone pooing in a bath,
And then the
we
next
cackle,
one-
and the next one is like,
Oh God! And the next one is very serious.
very
Yeah.
serious. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
and we don't read it beforehand.
I can
Yeah.
tell because
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sometimes one of you will say da-da-da-da, and then you would laugh.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, snap.
And then it looks like you're not being serious, but obviously you caught off guard.
It's caught off guard, that's
And
what
people
it
need
is.
to think
That's
about
what
that.
it is.
But I think it's really important to read out there because first of all, people write in knowing that it's going to be read out.
That is very
they
true.
want it read out. So I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit smug to be like, well, your thing is too big to be read out. Like, who are we to decide? Like, at the end of the day, people write in knowing what the okie doke is. They know that they want it read out. So I think it's really like, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit condescending to be like, oh, you guys shouldn't read out the really heavy ones because that person has agency over their lives.
They're the one that
Exactly.
and also it helps other people who are going through the exact same thing.
100%.
I think sometimes people want to easy listen.
Yeah.
They don't want to know, but people are going through real
People are
things.
going
And
through
outside
it.
of the key kin, whatever, and that's my favourite thing about what we've created is the impact.
Yeah.
Like, as in, I met someone that's like, hey, I've been listening since I was 15 and now I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
I know. I hear that.
Yeah.
I hear that
And
so
I hear
much.
it all of the time, or like I've done so much whilst I've been listening to you, man. Because the same way our life is transitioning, so is our listeners. So
This
there's
is very
that.
true. But obviously people are sharing. I think sometimes when people listen, they're like, you're really sharing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
share.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Do either of you two ever feel like you've overshared? Anyone can overshare. Do you ever regret some of the things you've shared?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
You-
not so much. But the only reason I can say that is because there's been no backlash. Do you know what I mean? Like some of the things, especially early doors that I used to say, I would go after recording. I'd be like, oh my God, I probably could have done without saying that.
Okay.
But then someone tweets along, they're like, oh my God, I peed like outside or whatever it is. That's just like a wild example.
Yeah.
And that always brings me comfort knowing that people like, you know, the stories resonate with people or, you know, people can also relate to the experience. So I will say no because there hasn't been any like real backlash. But have there been backlash? My answer could be very different. Yeah.
But I think the beauty, I think that maybe the reason why people are so open with what they share is because you share your lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything
Yeah.
maybe not everything,
Yeah.
but most things that happen in your life, you share.
Yeah, and we were really big on not doing this whole thing, you can't sit with us, we're the girls that don't catch L's. We were very big on things like
You be going
early
through
that
it.
we
Yeah.
go through things as well, because I think there is this need, sometimes there is this need for girls to start a podcast and be sitting pretty and be the girls that, no, I'll never let a guy do that to me.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
no, not me, boy. We're very
That
much
is very
like, boy,
true.
that happens
That's
to us.
happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that made a
And
difference.
I love it's authenticity, right?
Yeah.
And it's the
Absolutely.
best way to build a community. What kind of advice would you give to new podcasters in building a community? Like, obviously for you, I feel like it happened quite naturally and organically at the very beginning. But now, what kind of advice would you give? Is it replying to everybody?
Oh, no. I think you can definitely build community without like being so immersed and like giving so much of yourself. I think like honestly leading by example, like, you know, I think that what we do, like we live our raps. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're not just on the podcast talking, we really genuinely are friends. And I think that our friendship radiates through the airwaves. You know what I mean? And I think
No, but it's very
And I
true.
think that people pick up on it. So I think that being an example is a great way of building community. We're quite active. I feel like Tolly, especially you've been really big on making like the next things that we do very community based. And off the back of Patreon, we've really seen it. Like literally, there's a whole thing called community.
How is it going? Because you launched that 2 weeks
That
ago.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
Very
very
fresh.
new.
Yeah, it's doing so well, man.
Yeah, and I think I've always had to like have a word or an aim for the podcast every year, and my word for the podcast this year was community. I was like, we've done the big things, we've done the influence. What's our impact?
Yeah.
Like I want to build a space that when and if we ever decide to tap out, it lives longer after us. There's a Receipts Junior in the world somewhere. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's something
Very
that
true.
just outlives what it is that we're doing in this very moment. And I think for me to build community is a consistency thing.
Okay.
People must know that you're always going to be there.
This is very true.
You know,
every
Monday you're going to be. For years, you knew every Wednesday,
yep.
there was going to be an episode out, and that you can't build a community of people who you're not there for.
It's
Yeah,
very true.
So true.
Do you know,
Coming on any
consistently- do you know what I mean? Like,
random
oh, not today, guys. Sorry. Oh, we couldn't record today. Oh, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. So it kind of like, you lose people along the way. If every day I'm consistently there, if I'm meeting my friend every day at 9:45 at a bus stop, it eventually becomes a trust thing that she can't even. If I'm not there, there must be something wrong with her. What's wrong with her? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, what's going on? Because I'm so instinctively, I trust that this person's always going to be there, and I think our community trusts that we're always going to be there on a Wednesday and now Monday.
And that's a form of showing up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like showing up for people.
Exactly.
Just by,
100%. So what can we see? What's coming next?
What's coming next?
What's
I
happening?
want to do more live shows.
We do wanna do more, and outside of
north.
London.
Up north, we have not forgotten Dublin and other areas in
Dublin,
the UK.
Manchester,
we owe you
one.
shows. Like that's what we're trying to work on.
Yeah,
at the
and
moment,
hopefully
isn't it?
international show as well.
100%.
Because you have international listeners.
We do. Our listenerships
yeah.
are great. We have listeners in America. I really want to do some kind of like Africa. When I say Africa, I mean Nigeria and Ghana. Sorry, everyone else. And I just see us really fitting into the Dirty December scene.
Yeah,
like,
man.
doing a little live show, the little
Absolutely.
Dirty December scene. I think it would just be like a lot of fun. Yeah.
And for you, I have nearly forgot, Miss Stand Up. What's going on?
I'm gonna
Stand
do
on,
more.
like-
You did your stand up show.
I've done it, and I'm gonna do it again. I want to keep on doing it. I really want to just like, I want to try my hand at it. Like,
How did you find it?
I loved it. Like, I really loved it. I was really confident in my material, for one, which I think, I don't know, if no one else found it funny, I did. And that was good enough for me, honey. But yeah, no, I really want to like dip my feet in that a little bit more and do more like amateur nights and new material nights.
I love that.
And just see what happens.
So hopefully for you, we're going to be seeing more comedy for you. More
definitely.
panels, writing. What's
I
coming?
write. So I'm like writing. I'm trying to write a novel at the moment, longest thing ever in the world. So yeah, I genuinely enjoy writing. I'd stopped it for a little while just because it was sucking the life out of me, as it does.
That's what be happening.
And if anybody writes, you know that. But like I thoroughly enjoy. I like making things. Like I like. Here's the story. Here's what it is. I always put everything I do as storytelling. So I just want to do more storytelling.
All right, and one little piece of advice from each of you for anyone trying to get into this realm, this big oversaturated. It's oversaturated, yeah.
Yeah.
Give us some advice. One little tea, one bit of tea.
Stop waiting for the cosign.
Okay.
I think so often people are like, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna reach out to this man, and when they say yes, and then I'm gonna do it as well. I said it the other day. I was just like, sometimes researching is procrastination.
Period.
Yeah, I think I would say, like, talk about what you're passionate about. Don't just jump on a wave of what you think is popular, what you think is popping. Find something that you're passionate about, because that will, it'll be obvious. Like, people, like, audiences are so savvy now. They know what's real, they know what's fake, and commit to what you know you can do. I always say that because I honestly think it's such good advice, because it bleeds into the whole consistency thing. If you can't do weekly, it's actually okay. You don't have to do
This is
weekly.
very true.
If it's bi-weekly, if it's monthly, if it's only an hour, if it's only 40 minutes, half an hour, and that's what you know that you can commit to and make really good content, then do that.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Coming.
Thank you for having us.
How do you sign off the
Thanks for
receipts
having
again?
us.
It's been your girl Tolly T.
And just call me Audrey.
And Kimberly Cumberbatch on Out of Office with Kim.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.